This is the Couples Corner. The Couples Corner. This is the Couples Corner. With Team Evans. This is the Couples Corner. The Couples Corner.
The Couples Corner with Team Bevins of I Still Do Ministries every Monday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This is another episode, and today you will get some good information, some great nuggets, and some tools to strengthen your relationship. The Couples Corner with Team Bevins.
This is the Couples Corner.
Party people, how y'all feeling, man? Welcome to the Couples Corner. I am Marcus. This is my wonderful wife,
Cherie.
and we are Team Bevins. We are happy to be in the Couples Corner with y'all tonight. So listen, we are going to talk about a little something tonight. You know, get the little party started. That's all. Getting it started. That's all. But no, we're gonna have a little dialogue. So for those of you who are joining us on Mix Station Live, welcome to you. For those of you who are joining us on social media, welcome to you. Now invite somebody else to the conversation. So, text them, call them. If you're on social media, tag them, let them know that the Couples Corner is on and they need to be a part of this conversation, because we need to hear from everybody tonight, because this is something serious. So we're going to talk tonight after we pray. I'm going to give you the topic and we're going to get into it. And we're just going to have us a good time tonight. All right, let's pray. Father, we thank you for another opportunity to gather together in the Couples Corner. We thank you for what you're doing and how you are meeting us and helping us so that we can be better, we can be wiser, we can be stronger than what we were previously, and that our relationships will be strong and that they'll be healthy, and that we will be able to be an example to those who desire to be in marriage with us, Lord, and that they would have a desire to continue to grow and to be better and wiser in their relationships. Give us longevity, give us wisdom, give us understanding, give us patience, so that we can enjoy everything that we need to do in our relationships. We love you and we thank you. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
All right. So tonight, good people, we are talking about a little subject. Could be a little, a little bit, but everybody's got to be honest. Everybody's got to be honest, and we need to hear, we need to hear from you all, so that while we are honest tonight, we can figure out what's going down. So tonight, our topic is right versus stubborn. Right versus stubborn. And so what does right versus stubborn mean? So we got to look at this from the perspective of, most people always think that they're right. If you didn't think that you were right, 9 times out of 10, you would never make your argument. You would never make your stance. You would never, try to prove your point. The question is, are you right or are you stubborn? Because you can be stubborn thinking that you're right, and you can be wrong. But holding your ground, being stubborn because you don't want to give in, you don't want to change, you don't want to adapt. And so there are some times where being right is not what's most important, because the object is to win as a team. The object is, as a team, you desire to be better, to grow. So I want to hear from y'all tonight about your stance in being right and your times of being stubborn, where you may have been right, but being stubborn put you in the wrong. Or you was just flat out wrong, but you decided to be strong and wrong and hold on to your wrong because you're stubborn and you didn't want to give in to say, hey, you know what? I wasn't right. And so that's what we're talking about tonight, just for a little brief moment. We ain't going to stay here forever. But how many honest people do we have tonight that can say that I have been, I thought right, but found out I was just being stubborn?
Yes. That's what I had to say to that. Yes.
Yes. What does that yes mean?
And a lot of times, let me just say a little piece before you keep going. the stubborn person feels they're right because the other spouse or the person that is in the conversation or, situation with them is allowing them to go ahead because they know that they are stubborn. So if you know that somebody's just stubborn, is like they're not going to move either way. They're going to stand on what they are saying no matter what. And no matter what you're trying to tell them, then you're going to pick your battles and just say, okay. And so the stubborn person begins to think they're right. But I do know that the stubborn person also knows that they're stubborn. After a while, you're stubborn.
Right.
So, if we got anybody that want to admit that they're stubborn, go ahead and chime in. Call us 1-855-493-6499 or put your comment on social media.
Right.
But a lot of times that is how stubborn ends up being right. If I'm saying that right, if you can understand what I'm saying.
So break that down a little bit for me, because you're saying how stubborn ends up being right. So you're saying that stubborn can turn into right, or is stubborn only right because the other person just don't feel like
stubborn?
With it?
I'm not saying that stubborn is wrong all the time. Stubborn may have a point and may be right. But I'm saying that most people that are stubborn do not, if they say it, that's it. This is what we're going with. This is the idea. This is what I choose, whatever. And even if it's not right, if the other person digresses, then they digress. Did you hear that?
Uh-huh.
Then they feel that they are right.
Okay, because they digress.
So if you continue to go at a stubborn person, not that they're going to change, but they would maybe have the idea of, okay, there's another way. This is not the absolute,
Gotcha.
But most times, if it's your spouse, you already know. Like, I already know. So I just say, okay. And you just say, okay. Now, I don't just say okay every time, but you just say okay sometimes. So that starts to make the stubborn person feel like, oh, yeah, that's right. That's right to do, because you digress and don't continue to argue the point or continue to have a conversation about the other options. Now, do you understand that?
I do. Now, I do want to kind of get some clarity, because you said I do. So I want to get to the core of that in that statement where you're saying that you believe that you're right and I would be stubborn.
So you guys know I always give real life stuff, right? Because I feel like that's how we grow. That's how we learn. That's how we change.
Indeed.
Right? So I just gave y'all some real life stuff.
Oh, that's what that was. Okay. So now, that's beautiful. Now, what have you done in your moments of stubbornness?
Not sure that I have them.
Okay, all right. Well,
not sure that I have them, because I normally digress for people.
Okay. So does digression?
And I wait to see that, if I say make two rights and the person wants to make a right and a left, and they wind up having to make that second right that I said, and they're like, oh, I should have made, and that's my satisfaction right there. Like, yep.
Indeed.
I said it already.
Right. That's
I don't necessarily say I said it already.
Right.
But in my mind, everything inside of me wants to holler like, I just said that,
Right.
But
right.
I've changed, so I won't holler it.
Oh, okay.
I just kind of giggle like, yeah.
Does the giggle? How that giggle go again?
Two rights, I told you. But you don't. You
should have just
don't
listened to me
do
from
that.
the beginning.
Yeah, you just don't. You learn as you mature how to deal with someone who is stubborn. Okay. I think we have some comments here.
All right.
One comment says stubborn me, and that. And so I want you to elaborate a little bit more. How did you figure this out? Was it through your spouse, or was it just through you realizing it? And then did you change it, or do you try to change it, or you just say, I'm stubborn, that's the way I'm gonna be, And then the next comment says, I'm normally right and just get silent when I see that it's not going anywhere. And that's what you do. You just get silent, because your right will prevail.
You're right.
But when you're immature,
right, you want to force
you
your issue.
Fight with a stubborn person. There's no way. It's no need to.
So let's look at something that's very important here. If the person is stubborn, 9 times out of 10, you are not about to change them in the midst of something that's going on. So
Sure.
if you already understand that, you are wasting time and energy and will probably frustrate yourself, get upset, go through a bunch of changes trying to make a point to a stubborn person in the middle of something. Stubborn people have to be taught on the sideline. They can't get it in the midst of a thing, because their stubbornness will cause them to become confrontational, or it will cause them to want to argue their stance of, the way they feel. You normally are not going to get too far trying to do that, in the midst of the situation. Now, another thing to, also look at is, there's generally more than one right answer in a scenario. Every now and then you kind of have a black and white situation, but sometimes I think that people get perspective and right mixed up. That this is your perspective, and because it's your perspective and you are strong on your perspective, that it makes the other person's perspective wrong. And that's not necessarily the case. So I know that that's a thing that happens frequently, and then people find out later, oh, you were right too. Or, oh, there's 2 ways to fry chicken instead of just one way. So, it's like...
But that still doesn't mean you're not stubborn.
No. That does
Okay.
not change the stubborn. But I think that sometimes people can get tunnel vision to my way is the right way and anything other than my way is wrong. And that's not necessarily the case. But it can sometimes come to perspective, or it can come down to compromise, which is the key situation in this, because you have to decide, like, what's more important here? What's more important here, getting this point across to say I'm right, or to get to where your goal is, or, to get to your intended end? So that's the thing that we have to, I think, we forget sometimes to look at, because, and again, what makes this scenario even worse is if emotion starts to get involved, because you feel like, here we go again, or, in your head, you're calling them names and all that other kind of stuff.
Absolutely.
But you don't want to say those names out loud, because that's only going to change the culture and the way that everything is going and make it even worse.
Absolutely.
So, you have to use wisdom as an individual, that you are not making the situation worse by trying to beat a dead horse to a degree, because if they're stubborn, they're not changing. So, how many people can attest that they either are stubborn or have stubborn moments? That's a question on the table right now. How many people are stubborn or have stubborn moments and can be honest enough to admit that? And how do you recover from your stubborn moments? How do you
recover?
What do you do, or how do you, I don't know if you say come down from your stubbornness, but like how do you recover from a stubborn moment, and who's actually stubborn? Because it's not a lot of people who are going to be like, oh yeah, I'm stubborn, or
Well, we had one.
That's what I'm saying. We got one, but it's more people that are stubborn than the one, and I think that, especially in this scenario, because we're talking about stubborn versus right, that the majority is going to try to lean to the right side, because maybe they're right often, but they think that being right often negates their stubbornness.
Okay. I'll go with that a little bit.
So, I mean, I think that that's a real thing, because, you were just saying how you think you're right most times. And so,
No, I didn't say that.
I
didn't say that. I didn't say I think I'm right. You just know when you're dealing with a stubborn person, you just relax. Because if you are right, you just relax. And this is my, if anybody can learn anything today, if you know that the person you're dealing with is stubborn, just relax. Because you're going to get stressed out. You're going to go through all this stuff for no reason. Just relax. Let them go through their emotions, but you will prevail. I'm telling you, you will prevail in the end. Now, I'm not saying, let them hurt themselves or whatever, right. But I'm just saying, sometimes it's no need to be going back and forth.
Right.
It's one thing with somebody who's just going back and forth because they want the information, but a stubborn person is just going to get it and throw it. So they're going to figure, oh yeah, that's the way you want to do it. Okay, no, I should make a left, like I said. And we really need to make two rights, and you made one right and a left, and you wind up having to make that other right. So just relax. Maturity will tell you to relax and let it play out.
Mm-hmm.
See what happens.
Right.
Now I ain't gonna tell you that you're gonna be 100% in that.
No.
Do we have?
Oh. No, you're not gonna be 100%.
I'm not gonna tell you that you're gonna be 100% in it.
Nor even
because it's frustrating.
Yeah, nor will you be right 100% of the time that you're working with the frustrated person and trying to give that space or that room for it to play out.
Exactly.
Because it can play out, and then they end up being right, and you're like, well.
No, because you're not stubborn, so you're like, oh, good. Well, that's the way. But this way also, stubborn people would just want to keep it with what they feel. They don't want to say this is okay. Let's do it this way this time. All right, let's drive this way this time, and then we're going to drive that way next time. Or on the way back home, we're going to drive that way and see. No, they like, this is how I do it. Mm-hmm. This is how I'm doing it.
Right. Yeah,
and your idea is
throw
it out the window.
You should have rolled somewhere else.
You should have drove your own car.
Right.
And so, again, y'all, we giving you real life stuff.
Yeah.
We don't want you arguing. We just want to spark some conversation. And we just want you to think, about you, what you're doing. Play your role. I just told someone recently, play your role. Like, if you can figure out you, then your relationship can be better.
Right.
And so if you know you're stubborn, then you need to figure out, what are you going to do differently? Mm-hmm. What are you going to do differently? Now, some of us don't know. Some of us really don't know, like, that's stubborn. Like, I just think, a man could just say, I'm the head. I just thought that I'm supposed to give you the suggestions or tell you how to do it, and you do it.
Well, my theory on that. If you have to say, I'm in charge, if you have to say, I'm the man, if you have to say those really kinds of things, then it's pretty evident that you're not, and you're trying to reinforce that yourself, So the reality is your positioning and the way that you carry things and, all of that is not prevailing. So now you have to try to throw those words to change the way that people are handling you or a situation. So if you got to say that, it ain't working out too good, and you really probably want to reconsider that whole notion and kind of take a look at it. So, go
ahead. No, go ahead.
Oh, that's something that you really shouldn't have to do. You shouldn't be running around saying I'm the man, or I'm the husband, or I'm the wife, or like we kind of know these things. So, you gotta pay attention to all that stuff and know that like it's bigger than that, and we got to be able to learn how to, I think that sometimes as couples, we make this relationship thing harder than it has to be because it's two completely different people coming together to try to create one way and to function in love and unity. And sometimes it's easy to forget that you have to work with someone else. And you can try to do things yourself or in your way of thinking, or try to do things, from your perspective and not consider the other party and knowing who you're with. You got to know who you're with, and you got to know how they are to know what's going to happen. You could have somebody who can overreact. So if you're with somebody that's going to overreact, good or bad, then you already know what you're dealing with. You already know what you're up against. So when you present something or when something happens or whatever the case, if you get to a place, you can't be shocked by their overreaction when you already know that that's what they're going to do.
So what you're saying is, after 25 years with somebody, you still got to figure it out. They don't know they stubborn? I mean,
Well, I don't even know that this is really a question about them not knowing that they're stubborn as much as it's about, are they going to change? Because that's two different conversations. Sure. Them knowing that they're stubborn is one thing, but them being willing to change is a completely different. Now, after 25 years, they may know they're stubborn. Or they may just feel like I'm set in my ways, or I like to do things this way, or I like this, or I like that. And they kind of try to make that type of argument, but that still doesn't deal with change. So change is a completely different dynamic to the conversation versus acknowledgement.
What did you just say a few minutes ago?
What I was saying was, when you know the person that you're dealing with and you know how they act or react or respond to things, then knowing that that's what you're working with, your wisdom should teach you how to handle that.
Oh, okay. Like what I was saying, maturity.
Yeah.
Okay.
It should teach you how to handle that. Now, it does not mean that you still don't address it, because if it's something that needs to change, then it still needs to be something that's brought up to someone's attention. And then also, too, the other thing that happens, and this is like a common situation, people will like to highlight the fact that they have made some changes, but the changes that you made technically are not enough. Now, although you're celebrating the small victories, that's cool. We can celebrate those small victories. But if the concept is you have to stop smoking because it's killing you, and you went from smoking a pack a day, and over a course of time, you down to a half a pack, you want me to celebrate the fact that you're down to a half a pack, and we can celebrate that small victory. But don't think that I'm not going to still talk about you need to stop smoking, because the goal is for you to not smoke at all. I'm glad that you cut back, but you still smoke. And you, as the smoker, can't get upset that I'm still presenting you with something that we agreed needs to stop, and it still hasn't stopped. It just slowed down.
If anybody wants to chime in, right versus stubborn. If you're stubborn, just call us. 1-855-493-6499. If you're right, call us. We need to hear from you. You can type on Facebook if you're with us by social media, and we will read your comments or your questions. If you have a question, call in, type on social media, and we will read it.
Yeah.
And you know what we always say: if we can't help you, we'll direct you to somebody who can.
That's right.
Or we won't just tell you anything.
No, that ain't happening.
But so because this is, I feel that around this season, holiday season,
right,
we're gonna go through this.
Yeah.
Right versus stubborn, and it's tearing people up.
Right.
And people are not speaking.
Mm-hmm.
But you've been going through this. If you just look back on the years, the time, you've been going through this. So you need to just relax. That's my word for today. Relax.
Right.
Relax and just allow the conversation to play out. Don't get emotional. Don't get upset, and see what happens.
Right.
See what happens. Because you don't always have to try to prove your point. If you're not the stubborn one, you don't always have to try to prove your point. And I believe we have a caller.
All right. Caller, are you with us?
Oh, hi.
Hello, how are you? Caller, are you with us?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me?
I can.
We can hear you.
I can.
Oh, okay.
Hey.
So, what had happened was all kinds of conviction had started real quick. So I said, let me sit these flat-ons down real quick. I'm trying to sit back so I can go ahead and talk on this phone. So what had happened was, no, I will admit that, first and foremost, I feel like this. Admitting is only half the battle if you ain't going to change. That's how I feel.
Good.
Yes.
So, in me calling in to admit, I would have to say that my admitting came with some change.
Okay.
So, in my stubbornness, first and foremost, in marriage, you got your individuality trying to come into one. So, I was one who always lived on my own since I was like 18 years old. So, coming into marriage and bringing two different upbringings and seeing things being done so differently, it was like, whoa, I wasn't ready for that. Mm-hmm. So that produced some stubbornness. That produced some pushback. And I think the first 2 years of marriage, I will say, it was rough. So, with a lot of counseling and, just learning how to communicate, I've learned to just hush.
Mm-hmm.
Because I realized at some point in this merge, an example needed to be set. Because it's so easy to say, oh, I need you to do this, I need you to do that. But just like when you're teaching your children, it's like if you're telling them and teaching them, it's two different things. So I felt like if I learned how to be humble and I learned how to, practice what I was preaching or practice what I was asking for, then at least you had an example before you to do it.
Right.
So, that's where, and then I felt like, silence isn't always innocent, but at the same time, it can diffuse a problem.
Right.
If you're
That's
not,
true.
nagging and, giving all that neck back and all that stuff. So, we could walk around my house like 2 to 3 weeks sliding past in the hallway. Little as I don't know what, sliding past in the hallway. But, after a while, it's like, oh, all right, this ain't even worth it when we could just go here and talk this thing out, because then a part of me, I started, getting to a place in life where it was like, I don't know if I'm coming back in this door when I leave out, not because, somebody was going to snatch me up. Because guarantee my attitude back then, they was going to throw me back. But, something could happen and we wouldn't get an opportunity to say, I'm sorry, that, I love you or I apologize. So, I used to get called bipolar in my house all the time. Like, yo, how you go upstairs? We just finished arguing. You come right back downstairs. Something. You want some of these fried potatoes and onions? Because I felt like,
that's the way.
At the end of the day, it's too short. Like, life's too short. But it took a long time to get there. It wasn't, overnight.
That's good.
And again, it just came through a lot of counseling, fasting, praying, and that good makeup, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, the good. That's real good. Thank you for saying that you are. We should get a round of applause for that one. That you are stubborn and you learn from it. See, we have a round of applause. So, let me ask you another question. So, have you been to the conference that we had? Team Bevan's conference?
Have I been to the conference? Well, I can do one better than that and just say yes or no. The conference literally saved my marriage. When my husband and I our first year at the conference, we literally had divorce papers on our pillows and we left out. So we were supposed to have signed off on them things and went our separate ways. But, we had someone who was interceding for us, like, look, just come. If it don't work out, then, all right, I tried. But just go. So, again, you talking to a stubborn woman and a stubborn man, but we were just like, all right, we going to go. Like, at the end of the day, like, we looking at each other like, what's up when we get home, right? Make sure you sign your half, all right? I'm like, all right, no problem, make sure you sign your half. So, baby, we got at that conference, honey. Every word that came forth, every demonstration, every game that you can play for unity brought us together by the third night.
Praise God.
Just know we were saying a good amen.
Right.
So we were saying a good amen because we learned so much. We realized that we was trying to, figure it out individually.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And we also realized that one thing I actually learned from the conference was operating, in a mindset of roles. We gathered from the conference, in our marriage that may not be good for us. Like, we had to not operate out of roles. We had to operate out of strengths and weaknesses.
Mm-hmm.
So, some people say, oh, no, your role is to do this. No, your role is to do that.
Right.
So in our household, we said, no, we're not going to operate from roles.
Right.
We're going to operate from strengths and weaknesses. That way,
That's
you
good.
don't feel so overwhelmed.
Yeah.
Because if we know that this is your strength, and you're operating in that, then you should not be overwhelmed.
That's good.
Good. Real good.
So we learned so much. And let me tell you, this one little thing there, my husband, we laugh about all the time. Pastor Wilkinson told us, because my husband said something to him like, well, she disrespectful, like her mouth too much, blah, 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 blah. So he said this little thing, he told my husband, pull your license out. So we looking at him like, what? Because you can barely take your husband serious sometimes. So we like, pull your license out. So we allowed him to finish so we could really get something out of it because we really wanted to get this thing right. So we, paused like, yo, what is he talking about? So he said, at the end of the day, your license is going to show that you're grown. And that's going to let that person know you out of order talking to me and I'm grown like that. Like, so, but at the end of the day, what he was saying was it will bring, just how you laugh, it will bring laughter in that moment.
Right.
So you can get past it. And I ain't going to lie, like the first time that situation happened and my husband pulled them license out, I was like, oh, you can put that up. It didn't work the first time. But, I got over real quick because I did laugh. So we learned. So I can go on and on and on and take over your whole show, but yeah.
That's good stuff.
Yeah, thank you.
That's
That's good. Just to hear from somebody else other than us talk about the conference.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
that you come to the conference and you learn things.
Absolutely. Like the conference helped break some of that stubbornness.
Yeah,
Telling
that's
you,
great.
It did. Because you learned so many, tidbits, and you realize that you're not the only one going through what you're going through.
Right.
That's good.
You had someone that you can relate to, and that felt good.
That's
you might have, shed some tears. And another thing I grabbed from the conference, and I had to share this thought is, being careful what you share without confronting your spouse.
Mm-hmm.
Because just because you need to get it out, just because you need to be free from it, don't mean that it's okay for you to release it if you didn't talk about that thing with your spouse. But again, in that individuality, in my mind, it's like, oh, I need some help. I got to tell you everything. And it's like, no. Because it was one year where it was like, oh, that wasn't cool. You ain't talk to me about that.
Right.
And, it's a lot that I learned. I'm telling you, it's a lot that I learned. And people really be in my inbox today, like, yo, how you and your husband do it? And then me and him be looking at each other like, oh, they must don't know. Me and him high five the bus. I was laughing like, they must don't know.
Right.
But we came a long way.
That's great. Praise God for your life.
Good stuff.
And your marriage. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank
No
you
problem.
so much.
Absolutely.
Have a good night.
You too, boo.
All right.
All right.
So, speaking of the conference is coming up actually next month, January the 24th and 25th. So we are, in registration now. So for those of you who have not had the opportunity to be a part of the conference, it's something that you need to experience. It's been a blessing to a lot of people. It's helped a lot of people to better understand their role, their position, in marriage and what to do, what not to do. And listen, sometimes it's just good to be around other people that are married that, you can pull from, people that, have already gone through some of the things that you may have gone through or are currently going through, but you're in a position where you get to be around some success stories, some people who made it where to you it seems like, oh, it's no way we're going to get out of this, or, oh, it's no way that we're going to be able to, do this or get through that or whatever. But you find out that there are a lot of people who have already been where you are and came out successful. Right. And, it can just be a great piece of hope in you being able to see that. So that's one of the great benefits of being a part of, the I Still Do conference. So,
and it's not just for people that are going through, and if anybody else wants to call in and share, about the conference, it's not just about people that are, going through. It's not just for couples that are going through. We just deal with everything. We try to touch as many topics as we can there.
Right.
If anybody wants to call in, 1-855-493-6499, or you can type them on Facebook with us. And we haven't forgotten about right versus stubborn.
Right versus stubborn.
We are still.
That's still all.
If you want to say you're stubborn, call in. This is confessions. Come on. It's fine.
Yeah.
We all love you. What goes on in couples corner stays in the couples corner. We have another caller.
Hi.
Hello.
How are you?
Hello.
Yes.
Caller, can you hear us?
Yes.
All right. How you doing tonight?
We're great.
Good. What you got for us?
So we were calling in about the conference. The conference has tremendously been a blessing to us. I can remember year one where I really wanted to say enough was enough and throw in the towel. However, before I'm leaving, my mind changed. The tears were shed and forgiveness came about because y'all taught us basically to make room for error and to forgive quickly and build from that. And then also, Sharice shared about how does one thing have anything to do with the other. She was stating about the bills. How do that have anything to do with your intimacy and your relationship? And it made me think, like, Kennedy, you're putting the wrong thing on the wrong side of your relationship.
Praise God.
Good stuff.
Praise God.
Good stuff.
So
That's Cherie something else, ain't she?
that Cherie better go ahead and stop playing. He better stop playing.
I'm gonna marry her. I'm gonna marry her if I get a
He
chance.
better stop playing. So,
Listen,
can you, does your, somebody, is it two of y'all?
yeah,
Oh, okay, go ahead, because I have another question.
yeah, because I was going to elaborate on what she said. Cause the
Elaborate.
the first year, I did not want to go. That was that stubbornness.
Oh, you didn't want to come to the conference? Oh, tell the truth.
I didn't want to go. I was like, no, you can go, but I say, no, I'm going to go. Because in my mind, my stubbornness, I was like, I don't want nobody to know my business. I don't want nobody to know what we're going through. But when I heard what you guys were saying in the conference, it just gave me enlightenment to, and y'all, like my wife said, y'all did help our marriage.
Praise God. Praise God. My other question is, I'm just so glad. I mean, that, honestly, I'm not even joking now. Y'all know I joke a lot, but I'm not even joking. God, it ain't nothing but God, because Marcus and I can't do anything, and none of those speakers there can do anything without God. But I am just so grateful because God didn't let you down.
Right.
Because you decided, I'm going to go ahead and go, and God made sure that he worked something out for you. And I'm just grateful for that. But, I just want to, I said but again. My next question is, do we have fun at the conference?
Yes.
I mean, we do cry and stuff, but do we have fun? Do we get money and gifts and things?
We just love coming to get to be with other couples.
Yes.
To be able to learn from other couples, not just the word, but learn people. My wife was saying fellowship, which is also, it's just so awesome from the first conference up until last year's conference. And I'm ready for next year's conference.
Praise God.
Good stuff, man. That's a blessing.
Praise God.
That's a blessing, really.
So I am so grateful because I will tell y'all, well, thank y'all. Do y'all have anything else y'all want to say about the conference?
Thank y'all so much for continuing strong no matter what y'all endure. Thank you.
Praise God. You are welcome. God is with us.
He is the reason.
Thank y'all for calling. Y'all have a good night. Thanks. I just want to say that, even at the conference, we get things too, because there are other speakers, there are people that come and talk about things, so we get things too.
Right.
And I'm grateful for that. But, just to be transparent, some years I'm just like, are we making a difference? Yeah. Is this conference helping somebody? Because you don't want to keep doing something just because you said it's going to be annual.
Right.
At least I don't.
Right.
So every year I want it to help somebody. If it helps one couple, if it helps two couples, that's great. And everybody that comes is not going through. Exactly. Let me say that again. So there are couples that come and they just get things, you know, whether it's Joy coming and talking about, you know, garnishing your wages and bank accounts and all of that. Regardless, whatever it is, people are getting something for their relationship, and they're not necessarily coming there saying, you know, yes, we've had couples that called in tonight say yes, they had divorce papers, yes, they were going through, but there are couples, and if any other couples want to call in, please call in and just share, because we want more people to come. We want married couples, we want engaged couples to come. Y'all are my favorite people, engaged people. We have things for you, trust me, we have things for you, and we have gifts for you too. So if you come, you might get a gift, and it might be some money. So just, you can call in if anybody else wants to call in, 1-855-493-6499. And just share anything you've gotten from the conference, if you've been to one or if you've been to all of them or a couple of them, and just, it encourages others also to come, right? Because like he said, he didn't want to come. He was like, oh no, you go ahead and go, and I'm gonna come. And yes, we do have one spouse that comes. We do, and you know, because they made up in their mind, they want to help their relationship, or they want to see what they can get or what's going to happen at the conference, and they will take it back. Right. But I would, you know, admonish you both to come, and so you can learn together, because we do split up and have different sessions for men and for women, and I want you both to come so that you can get everything. Yes, y'all will be there next year. Another comment says, we've been to one and it was a blessing. Praise God. You know, so and that's all we want to do. We want you to get something that you can use. Right. Even if you don't use it that day, you know, something that you can use that you'll remember. That's why when you come, take notes. You know, we don't particularly videotape every single one. You know, we may get excerpts here and there, because people are sharing, and I don't ever want that to be exposed, you know, or with the wrong person or people. But you know, just come, take notes, enjoy yourself. And we used to do a fellowship, and maybe we'll start back up. We used to do fellowships. We used to do something like, we did a prom one time. We did the adult prom, and that surprised me, because so many people were in the inbox saying thank you, you know, or coming up to us saying thank you, because we never been to a prom, or I didn't go to the prom with who I wanted to go with. So I got to go with my husband now, with my fiance now. Right. You know, we have other things, masquerade ball, just different things, so that you can fellowship afterwards. So, you know, we have to come up with other ideas, and that's why this last 2 years we haven't had anything, but because we need to come up with other ideas. We don't want to keep doing the same thing. Right. You know, so, because I know y'all get bored quick, and y'all be like, we ain't going, you know what I'm saying? Y'all told me have it, then y'all like, we ain't going, y'all. We gonna go head home because we tired, and still be late for church the next day. Like, you know, so, but if you want to call in, 1-855-493-6499, that's great. If you want to call in and talk about right versus stubborn, if you missed our topic, we're talking about right versus stubborn, but we're also talking about the conference that will be January 24th and 25th. We will put up how you can register. It is $100 per couple, and come out and enjoy yourself, please. I know that you will get something. I know that you will get something to take, to hold, to help you. Even if you're doing well, you will. So, and it doesn't matter how long you've been married. It doesn't matter how long you've been engaged. Right. And a good thing is, a lot of our engaged people, I won't tell you what we call them, but if you come, you'll know. I won't, our engaged people come back and they're married. Right. So, like, I'm grateful for that. I'm just like, yes. So good. So I get excited. So, but if you want to call in and talk about the conference, or you want to call in and talk about how you were stubborn and you changed, or how you're still stubborn and you're trying to figure out how to do this, how to change, or how to be different the next time, you know, or you know, you always think you're right and you want us to tell you you're not, just call in. 1-855-493-6499 and we will tell you. And or you can type your comment on Facebook.
So here's something that's pretty cool. You know, especially dealing with this right versus stubborn, or stubborn versus right, whichever way you want to put it first.
Stubborn people normally want to.
Yeah, they normally want to be right. But but here's the beauty in this, right? Because truth be told, everybody has some stubborn in them. The question is, how much of the stubborn that you have do you allow to control you or control your relationship? Because partnership does not work when there's stubbornness. That's not going to work. You know what I mean? Cherie and I cannot work together if one of us is going to be stubborn and not be open to change, not open to doing something different, or not open to, you know, like
hearing another way.
Yeah, hearing another way. You know, entertaining another perspective, another way. Because, like, I'll give you a prime example. You know, she was on the health kick and working out and trying to get me to eat right, trying to get me to drink water. I wasn't with it. Like, no, like, kick rocks. I'm not interested in it. My famous line to her, she'd be like, "You need to drink more water, babe." I was like, "It's water in my soda." So, like, you know, I'm fine. It's water in everything I drink because it's all made with water. Like, you know, fall back. But it was necessary for me to do those things, but I was not interested in it at the time. You know what I mean? And the thing was, she did not pester me, but she was consistent in not just giving up on it because it was something that was important. So I had to stop being stubborn, and I had to come around to realize that I needed to drink water. I needed to, you know, consider some of my intake and, you know, all of that other kind of stuff like that. And
yes,
it turned out to be something that was good. So,
and so for all of you that saying, "Cherie, why you not at the gym with him?" I started this whole thing.
Right.
I fell off a little bit. Relax.
You know,
relax. Somebody gonna tell me the past don't matter. Relax. That's my word for the night. Relax. I'm back in there. When you gonna look up and I'm gonna be small. Watch. And there's no surgery involved. Not that surgery is bad, but there's no surgery involved.
But yeah, you know, I mean, it's about the consistency, and you have to be willing to be consistent with a stubborn person because it's a wall. Stubbornness is basically a wall that person does not want to get. You know, they don't want to get from behind. So in some instances, you have to chisel that stubborn wall down, and you can't chisel it with frustration.
Yes.
And you can't chisel it with, you know what I mean, with anger and with hatred. You have to chisel it with love, understanding that for some strange reason, and this is what most stubborn people do not want to acknowledge, you are behind that wall because there is something that you don't want to identify with. There's something that you don't want to face or something that you don't want to deal with. And so you hide behind that wall. And the person loves you enough to chisel at that wall, and they're not going to climb over the wall to get to you, because if they do, then they'll be trapped behind the wall just like you. So they chisel it and they talk to you from the other side of the wall, which is the land of freedom that they're trying to get you into. But you have to relinquish some of the power that you keep hiding behind, that you make into being something that's stubborn. And that's not healthy for you. So, you know, it's a protective wall, but at the same token, it's not healthy, and it doesn't work well with partnership. So, you know, sure you can be stubborn. We all have some stubbornness in us. So don't nobody think you grand and don't think that you don't have any stubbornness. We all got some stubbornness. We all got some disobedience. And generally where there's stubbornness, there's disobedience. So you got to be able to acknowledge where you are, because, again, admitting is the first step, but it's not a one-step process. So, you know, you just have to make sure that your stubbornness is not overtaking you. That's the key. And you got to be open to your mate. Because, listen, you know, we try to remind you this all the time. You're on the same team.
Absolutely.
You know, you're on the same team. So they ain't really trying to come at you sideways. They ain't trying to hurt you. They ain't trying to do all of that. They just making sure that you understand the value of who you are and what you mean to them. into the relationship. So, we can't allow our stubbornness to get in the way and cause us to not be who we're supposed to be for and with who we're supposed to be it with. So we got to change that. All right. So all the stubborn people, I want you to really take this week and focus on not being stubborn. And all the people that think you're always right, take a step back and realize you're not always right. But at the same time, I always joke with Cherie because that line that was in Get Rich or Die Trying, when he was like, I was right. I might have, you thought I was wrong, but I could have been right, because if I wasn't right, then I was almost right if you'd have looked at it from the other way. Ain't nothing but twisting the words, but
and I just shake my head.
That boy said that. He made him stop for a minute. He said, "What? Say that again." But
shake your head. Just shake your head and be quiet, y'all. Chisel the wall with love. That was good.
That's it.
That was
you can't
good.
give up. You can't give up on your mate. You love them too much. We always say it. Nobody got married with the intent to get divorced. Like, oh yeah, they go my next ex-wife. Like nobody's saying that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You got into it because you wanted to be there, but we will allow minor things to have major effects. Now, we're not going to discredit those things, because minor things can do major damage when they're consistently done. Just like water dripping somewhere that it's not supposed to be dripping.
Oh gosh, no.
That one drip can seem minor, but over time it will do major damage if it's not fixed. So, although you're saying, why you tripping, this is small, it is small, but it's only small to you because you only see this situation. You don't see the history, and it's the history that makes it turn into something major. So we got to be more careful, in how we handle and how we address this stuff. So stubborn people, come from behind the wall. Right people, chisel with love.
So I think we have a couple minutes. If you still want to call in, I have 2 things I need to say really quickly. I forgot one of them, but it'll come back to me. Oh, in the book, 64 Tools for a Successful Relationship. If you have it, learn from your experiences, page 71. It's a good read. And I'll just read one line. Try your best to learn from your previous experiences so your relationship can grow. So if you have been in stubborn conversation or something like that, try your best to learn from that and try to fix it so that your relationship can grow. And if you don't have the book, you can get the book. He'll put it up how you can get the book. My other thing was, to all ladies, I want to talk to, I got 3 things. To all ladies, Victorious Ministries is having a spa day.
Yes.
On Saturday for all ladies, 9 to 5. Come out and shop. I'm going to put the flyer up on my page. If you're listening to my Mix Station Live Radio, we are on Facebook. We are Marcus and Cherie Bevins. Mm-hmm. Marcus and Cherie.
Just
Marcus Cherie. MarcusCheriBevans. And I am Cherie Bevins. So anybody can come. If you are a female, you can come. It's a female event for spa, and we're having yoni steam, which is when you get your vagina steamed. We're having and that's for a cost. We're having massages, so you got to bring some money with you when you come.
Right.
Massages.
Right.
We have teeth whitening. We have facial. We have wraps. We have a couple of us have some slots left, and a couple of us that don't will work something out with you. So if you show up, you still will be able to see the vendors. We have food vendors, clothing vendors, jewelry vendors, makeup vendors, all types of things. Please come out and support. The address is 4601 York Road. And that's this Saturday, the 14th. I will put the flyer up on my page. And I will put it up in the Couples Corner too. So also for next week, if there's a topic you want us to talk about next week, please, you have until, what's tomorrow? Tuesday? Wednesday. You have until Wednesday at 12 noon to send us topics, and we will pick one so that we can, get with it, pray about it, all of that. And then we will talk about it on next Monday show. Okay? So please send us topics. We know you have some things you would like to discuss because you tell us. And so we just want you to send it. You can send it to our inbox. You can send it to our email. Our email is Team Bevins. No, I still do.
13. That's teambevins.com.
Yes. Yes.
Right. But I still do 13 at gmail.com.
All right. And so learn from your experiences is my final thought for today.
All right.
Don't be stubborn and don't always be right.
Right. Good stuff. So for those of you who have not registered yet for the conference, it is January
Wait
the 24th
a minute. I'm sorry.
and 25th, and she's coming back.
I'm sorry. I'm coming back because I didn't finish that thought. And so ladies' night out is 5:30. After we have ladies' day, ladies' night out with Pastor Tony Smith is at 5:30. Right after we have the spa day. So you're going to come, you're going to shop with us, you're going to get some spa treatments if you bring some money. And then you are going to get some word for the women at 5:30 with Pastor Tony Smith. And you won't be disappointed. That's what I was leading all that up to say. And I started talking about something else.
All right.
So go ahead.
All right. That's back to me. All right. So, so, if you haven't registered yet for the conference, we definitely want you to be a part of the marriage conference this year. I still do. The theme is a firm foundation, and you definitely want to get some of this information about making sure that you have a firm foundation. I know typically you want the foundation to be built, before you start building on top of it. But in some instances, you can not have the firmest foundation and start building, but you can go back and shore up your foundation. And so we want to deal with some of those things that will help us to have a better, a stronger, and a firmer foundation so that we will not crumble in our relationships. So that's January the 24th and 25th, and we will add into the scenario of how you can, register online. And so we'll give, all of that information. So we definitely want you all to be able to come. Feel free to share, to share this with anybody that you know that could benefit from this. And likewise, when you see the flyers or things of that nature, feel free to share those as well, because this is not an closed community. This is for everyone that is married and everyone that is engaged. That wants to come and to learn and to be better, to grow stronger, and to get what you don't know. Because guess what? None of us know it all, and we are all still learning. And please, by all means, know that Team Bevins is enjoying ourselves at the conference because we're learning with you. We're not showing up like we got it all together. We know everything. Not at all. We're just giving you what we do know, and we bring in people that teach what we don't. And the concept is for it to be holistic. So we try to give you the tools that will cause you to be successful, from finances to, taxes to business to, everything that is associated with your whole union, your whole partnership, your team effort. We try to make sure that all of those components are, addressed. So that's what we do, and that's what we look forward to doing. We've been doing it now for 6 years. So,
wow.
This is, a little mind blowing to us because, it was just something that the Lord laid on my heart, and I shared it with her, and she wasn't with it. But
at all.
We still,
he
moved on our heart,
and I was still forced to do it.
He moved on our heart, and we went forward with it. But it's just a blessing because as we were able to hear today, that it's been effective, that people have been empowered and they've gotten tools that they can use, and that's what it's all about, for us to be better, all of us. And we grow and we feed off of each other, and we get stronger off of each other. And the Bible tells us that when you get strong, go back and strengthen your brother. Mm-hmm. And that's what we have to do. We're not a perfect couple. We're not a couple that is exempt from life, or that has not had issues and trials and tribulations and all of that. We've made some of the worst mistakes you could possibly make. We've done some of the dumbest things you could possibly do. But we've done all of those things together, and we're still together today. So that's our story, and that's what we try to help everyone else to be a part of, because together
you can make it.
You can make it. So we're Team Bevins, and we thank you for tuning in
Thank you for
tonight.
tuning in to the Couples Corner with Team Bevins. We're grateful that you stopped by and shared your time with us tonight. We look forward to seeing you again here next week at 9 p.m. And feel free to share this on your page with any of your people who would benefit from this conversation. We're grateful that you shared your time with us. And now we've got to go, but we look forward to connecting with you again here on the Couples Corner with Team Bevins.
The couples corner.